Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Adventures. Important information. We've got a day trip tomorrow, and we're also going to combine this video and give you the information for that day trip, and also give you and everybody in general some what equipment you may need to take and things to think about taking on, whether it's a day trip, a weekend trip, or longer trips. We're going to try and make it a quick one and squeeze in as much information as possible. Just quickly, firstly, the trip details. We are meeting tomorrow, Sunday. I think today's the 30th, so that must be the 31st. Anyway, the Sunday before Melbourne Cup Day, we are meeting at Whittlesea McDonald's at 8:30 a.m. We are departing there. You can meet there whatever time you like. You can get there at 6, 7, 7:30, 8. It doesn't matter, but the plan is to be there, to depart there by 8:30 a.m. in the morning. That's the meeting time. By then we may have some more information for you, possibly not. It is an Prado crew trip, so for limiting purposes, to keep the numbers down, you need to be driving a Prado, Toyota Prado only, nothing else for this trip. I can't give you much information about the trip because we're going exploring. Now, I've been around the areas we're going to be looking around. Maybe it's all maybes at this stage. We haven't planned exactly where we're going, but around Mount Disappointment, around King Lake area. We've got Michael, which is awesome to be able to have a sort of local, you know, he's sort of hasn't been there for decades, but sort of local to the area. He's done a little bit of exploring. It's been about 10 years since I've been on tracks around there myself, so basically everything could have changed, so treat it as I've got no idea. We are going exploring, so be prepared for anything. We're probably going to need to have a limit of about 10 vehicles, so let's just see how many replies. They need to be an absolute, not I'm interested, or yep. The yeses are maybes. We don't want any maybes. We want absolutely 100% I'll be there. We know there's already a few people that are going, so about half the spaces at least are filled up, and there's probably more that I don't know about yet. So please get in with your reply saying yes, absolutely, 100% I'll be there. Now I'm going to give you some minimum vehicle requirements or recommendations. We'll go through a few things and I'll let you know if it's an absolute or it's just a recommendation. I highly recommend some grippy rubber like this. See this? Grippy stuff, nice and deep tread, because that's what gives you grip, not a drip. Anyway, that sort of tread pattern, it wraps around things and it really gets a good grip. So if you've got the standard Grand Treks, highly unrecommended, if that's a word. There's different all-terrain tyres. Some of them aren't very all-terrain, to be quite honest. They might be a little bit stronger in construction, but their tread pattern is very road orientated. They might do the job if the tracks are pretty easy, but look, it's not a big deal, but as long as you understand you're going to struggle a bit, so that's where it gets us to the next step, recovery gear. Most people already know that you're going to need minimal recovery gear or full recovery gear because, well, big difference, isn't it? Well, that's it. We don't know what's happening, so be prepared for anything. An absolute essential, bare essential minimum is you're going to have a snatch strap, you know, 9 meters, the weight rating that suits your vehicle. Don't come along and expect other people to be able to get their gear and pull you out. And don't tell us it's in the back of your vehicle in the drawer and it's hard to get out, you know, and I'm stuck in this bog hole and whatever. You need to have a bag like this. And where do you have it? Not in the back, you have it right here, like that. So when you're driving, you can reach over from there and pass it out the window so that we can use it to recover your vehicle. That is an absolute necessity, and that's where it needs to be, not negotiable. Next thing, do not turn up with a tow bar, okay? If you've got a tow bar tongue like that, remove it, take it out. We recommend that you have the the receiver point in there, ready to go. It makes it easier. You don't have to have the shackle hanging off the end there, but you're going to need at least 2 shackles in that bag with your recovery gear. I'd probably recommend 3 and an equalizer strap as well, just in case we're pulling you out from the front, and then we can spread the load between the 2 tow points using those 2 shackles at the front, and we're going to need 1 at the recovery end of the vehicle. 2 is an absolute minimum, but we recommend 3. Okay, let's go ahead and get this tow bar out and put the receiver in. Let's take a quick look in the back of the vehicle and have a look at what weight we've got in here that we don't need. Get rid of whatever weight of crap that you don't need, like solar panels. That's a touring thing. We're not touring. What do we got in here? Tools. Yes, we need tools. You should probably bring some spare tools and things like that. We're going to get into some more detail of other items. There's not too much stuff in you might need. You never know, you might need one of those. If you get stuck somewhere in the dark, you might need a light, you might need some wipes to clean up some mud. Oh look, there's some first aid type thing. Look, all the necessary kind of drugs and stuff, some gloves. we're going to get to more important things. Tools, I'm not going through which tools in this video, but some basic tools could come in handy. One of the important things, if you do get a flat tire, you're going to need to jack up the vehicle. So you need to be able to access that jack there, that's where it is. And you may need a block of wood like that. I use a 70mm thick. It's got some locating screws. We've got other videos on that. I suggest something like that. Be prepared. Chainsaws. No, they're not chainsaws, are they? And this isn't an ad for Ryobi, but when you go on a trip and you're exploring, if you know you're going on regular trips and you know the area, regular tracks that everybody uses, they're probably going to be clear because someone's probably going to have got through before you. But you may not be happy with the cut, and it could get risky the more cars that go through that you slide and hit that log and do panel damage. So may need to have a further trim, or we might need to really tidy up. So, chainsaws. Now, there's no chainsaw in the picture because I haven't got one at this location at the moment, and I won't have one in time to be able to bring it on the trip tomorrow. I'm organising the trip, I'm putting a lot of time into that already, so I'm going to seem pretty lazy, but I'm asking everybody else to do some work now. So I highly recommend a chainsaw on just about every trip, in particular this one, because of the storms and the wind we've had lately. From where I'm standing right now, I can see a number of broken trees. So if I can see trees here in the suburbs, there's going to be plenty in the bush. So fingers crossed someone's been in there before us, because we're going on Sunday. See, do you think that happened by accident and we didn't go on Saturday? Well, there's a couple of reasons. A lot of people work Saturdays and they ask, can we make it Sunday? So look, we've made it Sunday for those people, but guess what? They probably won't turn up anyway because they've probably got better things to do. But if you haven't got a chainsaw, these are some of the other things you can think of, right? So, of course, get yourself a decent 5 amp hour battery. The reciprocating saw, that will get the job done. I don't expect everybody to go out and buy one, but if you've got one, it's something you can bring. Sometimes, like this year, the tracks can be really overgrown, and there's no real maintenance on them. It's kind of, do it yourself a lot of the time. So you can bring a pair of secateurs to do your cutting, or you might want to bring a hedge trimmer like this. It might seem funny, but this year with all the rain, have you noticed it's been really cold and wet? Like last year, since the fires, this usually happens each year. It's wet, slowly dries up, gets dry again, fires. It's a cycle about every 10 years, give or take. But that's not the story of the video. The story is things will be growing, and depending on your vehicle, be prepared for pinstripes or be prepared to get out and use the hedge trimmer and give it a trim. Now, if somebody's got a flat tire, something like this, they can come in handy. Impact driver. I'm not saying to go out and buy all the whole Ryobi set. And if you're doing a touring trip, obviously the usual dust blower is good for a couple of things. Blowing off the back door, especially on the 150s, because all that dust just collects there. But because it's been wet, we're probably not going to see dust, so that doesn't matter too much. Don't forget to bring some water, drinks, and put some lunch in the fridge, because guess what? We're probably going to be out on the tracks somewhere where we have lunch. We're not going to be at your local takeaway store. I'm not going to tell you that you've got to have a lift, or you've got to have those tyres, or you've got to have heavy duty bash plates or heavy duty side steps, but you're definitely going to need a UHF. Okay, UHF radio for communications. The plan is we'll be using channel 10, because that's the 4x4 channel and not many people usually use it. It's not there, we're not sitting on channel to do a lot of chit chat. The idea is communication for the convoy. If you want to have a chit chat with someone, you're getting friendly, find another channel, but I suggest you have 2 radios so you don't miss our important announcements. So you're definitely going to need a UHF, just like you're definitely going to need that recovery gear. And we also recommend like a first aid kit and some of those other things. If you've got anyone suffering from allergies and stuff like that, you might want to hit up Google now and work out the latest information on how to treat a snake bite, because that's probably your most dangerous thing out there this time of the year. Snakes are on the move. Generally, people are only going to get bitten if they don't watch where they're walking. So if you're out of the vehicle, depending where you park, if you get out and you step somewhere, just watch where you walk. And like I said, they're on the move, but they'll generally go straight past you if you're sitting or standing still, so don't panic. Because when you panic, you'll fall and you'll land on them and then you'll get bitten, and that won't be good. So, real information. If you've got a lift, like a 50mm lift, you're going to have around about the same clearance as most other vehicles have, because 50mm lift is the legal one, and that's what most vehicles have. If you haven't got that, there's more chance you're going to scrape your underbody. It could do some damage. May not be anything major, and it may not be too permanent, because then you'll just upgrade to the K-On underbody protection, which that's what we run under this 120. We've got the K-On front sump guards and bash plates, the fuel tank protection. We've got the, what were they, powerful 4x4 rock armor heavy duty side steps, as you can see, one copped a bit of a dent in the side of one of them. I don't think that means too much. They're handy for keeping the vehicle off things that are a bit narrow and saving damage to those mud flaps, middle of the picture, that have been replaced before, but you can see the type of wear and tear that you get. They drag a little bit, they scrape a little bit, you'll get scratches on the side. They can get ripped off, which is why you bring your basic toolkit, 10mm bolt, so then you can maybe take the rest off, put it in the vehicle to fix it up later, or you can just, you know, take the screw out and put it back in. So tools, you don't need a snorkel that we know of. This vehicle's got a snorkel only for good looks, not for water crossings, because you can't turn a vehicle into a boat. So I'm going to go through it now. Make sure we've got the minimal basic recovery gear, as we already discussed. We've already fitted the tow receiver recovery point, the front standard welded 16 or 18mm thick with 5-ton welds. Tow points on the front are fine. Obviously, if you pull the vehicle hard enough, you'll rip the front off, but we won't be doing any of that sort of thing. You don't need LED light bars, you don't need bull bars, although it could be helpful if you can't drive and you hit something, but you just need to take it easy. The key thing to remember here in all the convoy procedures, and I think you should have a Google and get a general idea of general convoy procedures. We don't want to stick like, oh, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. But the key one is you are responsible for the vehicle behind you. Don't lose the person behind you, okay? So whether it's done by visual, wait at the turn till they see you, and make sure, you might even just want to say on the radio, hey mate, you know, yeah, gotcha. Or the following vehicle can flash the lights, because the person waiting is probably going to be looking back. So you flash your lights to say, yep, I see you. Then they can get moving, because if it slows everything down if they have to wait until you get right behind them. And of course, then you've got that gap again. Everyone wants to have a gap to stay out of the dust. You want to stay out of the dust. You don't want to sit in the dust. And there it just causes time delays, because 10 vehicles waiting 30 seconds equals 5 minutes, right? So every time we catch up and then take off again, it wastes 5 minutes. So the bigger the convoy, the slower the trip. The less you adhere to that rule, the slower the trip. If you're too quick and you don't mark the turn, you don't communicate in the UHF, then we're going to lose someone. We're going to spend half an hour or 2 hours, or all day trying to find them again. Make sure you've put fuel in the vehicle. You'd think it's fairly obvious, wouldn't you? You know that you need fuel. But people have turned up on trips. You can see we've got plenty. Happy days, right? Look at that, beautiful. People have turned up with no fuel. We've got into places only an hour or two from where we've met up. We're heading off into the bush, and they go, oh, I didn't get fuel. So fill it up today. I'd probably recommend some rubber, water, mud-proof type floor mats. I don't like the ones with the big edges on the side here. I like those ones Trevor sells, you know, the Max Line and Max Pro. Trevor Ryan, Dirt Road 4x4. Apparently the ones for the 150 suit the front of the 120, so you might want to get a set. We did a video showing that. It's a 90% fit, let's call it. You can check out that video separately. You don't need dual batteries, but what you do need is a compressor, because you will be letting the tyres down. So these things, we let them down for a bit of comfort for you, for the vehicle, and for a bit of extra traction. Maybe some other reasons, but that's a separate video. So you'll need a compressor. It doesn't have to be onboard compressor that we use from ARB. And you'll also need the airline or the inflator type thing to pump it up. So make sure you're equipped to re-inflate your tyres. If you haven't got your own compressor for this trip, you are unable to attend, okay? Unless you want to drive around on flat tyres. You know, we can't do it on this one. Again, it's to keep the numbers down and to get you organised, because if you're going to be touring and off-roading, it's one of the most essential tools and things you need. Bada bing. The other essential is a shovel. See the shovel? It's always on the side of this vehicle. Tell you why? You never know when you might need it. It's a mobile toilet. It's also can make tracks. You can dig your way out of just about anything between a chainsaw and a shovel. And tyre pressures. Of course, you don't need a spare wheel bag, but it helps protect your tyre from the sun. And you can put your dirty, muddy snatch strap in it when you've got it muddy, once we pull you out of that bog hole that you had to play in. So I hope this is helping people 4x4 in general. Look, you know, if you had an unlimited budget, it doesn't mean you need everything. You need to carefully consider what you need in general. I think tyres are one of the most important things first. We like the KO2s. They're really grippy off-road, and they're really reliable in the outback. They're probably definitely the most popular tyre, and from what I've seen, being the most popular and the least failures tells me that it's the most reliable. Of course, it's not going to be as good on a road surface as a more road-orientated tyre. That's quite obvious, but I don't have a problem driving on these in wet roads on the blacktop, and I push it around a little bit and I just still don't have any issues. So I don't know what the fuss is about, but some people aren't happy with that. It's your choice on tyres. Lift, I recommend for any four-wheel drive that's going off-road about a 50 mil lift. It varies from vehicle to vehicle. Some vehicles you're better off limiting to about 30-40 mil. In the Prados, personally, I like 40 mil at the front, about 50 at the rear. You can go a little bit more. Something else to consider when you're refueling, if you're just going for a day trip, you're probably only going to do 100 or 200 k's, so you don't need to put 180 litres into 120 or 150 into 150. So if you haven't filled up and you're still watching the video, you don't need to fill up. You can probably go to Macca's and, oh look, we're nearly empty. Chuck in 50 litres is going to keep you out of trouble for the day, right? It's a day trip. You couldn't use more than 50 litres. We're not travelling hundreds of k's from there to where we're going. It's all within 10, 20 k's, and we're going to be getting around slowly in low range. Make sure you know how to use your vehicle, low range, how to put it in and out of low range. This is not a four-wheel drive course day. We're not teaching you how to use the vehicle, and we want to keep moving. We don't want to have delays from inexperienced people that don't know how to use the vehicle. That's four-wheel drive driver training. Read your books, watch my other videos. There's plenty of that in other videos, so you can get it for free if you like. But this isn't the trip for people with inexperience. We're going to have other trips possibly where we say, look, if you're an absolute beginner, this is the trip for you. But more likely what you need to do is send me a text message, and if you want to do some on the side one-on-one or 2 or 3, we'll make a small group to do some actual 4x4 basics training, how to use the vehicle and a few things not to do to avoid catastrophic rollovers and stuff like that. We can do that as well. So, but I'll let you know right now, I've got no qualification in four-wheel driving. You know what? They tell me I'm a natural. It'd be worth noting on the mechanical side to do some basic checks on your vehicle. You may not have driven it for a while or not any distance, so you should probably check your oil levels, your coolant levels, the basic things like that. If you've had the battery disconnected, make sure you reconnect it properly. Don't just slip the terminal on, loosen it off properly, push it all the way down and nip it up till it's nice and tight that it doesn't move, not till you bust the bolt tightening up. It is just a battery terminal, but it does need to be tight enough, and the easy way to do that is to back it off properly and push it all the way down. If you want to know what I mean, check our battery playlist on our other channel, 4x4 Diesel. Air filters, stay out of the dust, and they should be right. You shouldn't have too much drama there. That's over here. We're not doing a service here, but yeah, just check your oil, check your coolant level by looking at these header tanks, the clear tank usually. Check the full low level, make sure it's around the full. If it's low, check for leaks, and don't come on the trip if you think you might have a problem. So take it out, put some fuel in the vehicle, give it a run and make sure it's all happy. I don't know what I've forgotten, there's probably more. I'll give you an indicator so you don't have to ask me on the trip in the morning. Tyre pressures. I'm probably going to let these tyres down to around about the 25 mark to get started, so it's more of a drop it down for comfort, and give it a little bit more traction, but there's plenty more room to move from there. Look, I'm pretty sure we covered all the most important things for tomorrow and a bit of information in general. So don't forget plenty of water, because that's always comes in handy. If you haven't got a chainsaw, if you're going to be going on trips on your own, you better think about investing in one. I think you can get them pretty cheap, ones that do the job, if it's just for full driving, day trips or weekends away. We talked about fuel, we talked about food. Make sure you got adequate clothing in case it is cold. It could be quite cold. Footwear, don't bring your shiny new runners and go, oh, I can't go there because you know, so you're stuck in the mud, whatever. Bring footwear that, it could be a bit wet and muddy, you might get dirty, so be prepared for that. In case you missed it, just to recap, we're meeting to depart by 8:30 a.m. Whittlesea Macca's, which is on Plenty Road in Whittlesea, W-H-I-T-T, I don't know if I can spell, L-E, Whittle, no, that's, yeah, that's it, Whittle, S-E-A, there you go, Whittlesea, anyway, W-H-I, that's the key part, and it ends in C, but it's nowhere near the sea, it's near the hills. Anyway, that's where we're meeting, that's what time we're leaving. I think we've covered everything, and if we haven't covered it, it's in other videos. You might want to go and check some of those out. Google some convoy procedures, get a general idea what's what. The key one, don't lose the vehicle behind you. Make sure your UHF is working and charged. How about we do this, right? We'll do a radio check. Everybody on this trip, or everyone around Melbourne, whether you're coming on the trip or not. Today's Saturday, the 30th of October at 2 p.m. Fire up on channel, let's go channel 18. Channel 18 all around Melbourne, and say, hey, anyone from Prado crew, see who's out there, say g'day. You can have a code name, Charlie, whatever you want, right? Have a bit of a chit chat, you might talk to someone. Whatever time did I just say? Whatever it was, I've forgotten, so I can't repeat it. You'll have to rewind. Right guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully that's enough info. If you've got any questions, ask either on the video in the comments, which I probably might not see because I won't have time to check it. I've put in enough time already, haven't I? And put it in the comments on Prado Crew where I post this video. And this video will probably come out publicly after the Prado Crew trip, so the trip's finished anyway, so I don't think you can get on a trip once you see this video. If it comes to you as an announcement in an email because you're subscribed with a bell on because you love the info. Guys, please hit the thumbs up button, the like button if you like that. Remember to press like, and I'm coming definitely on the post, and I've got all the info, everything I need. And anybody else that, if there's anything I've forgotten, feel free, you know, from the usual trips, what we do, just chuck it in the comments, say this and that. If anybody needs any safety information, Cole's the safety marshal for the day. I just sort of made that up. Michael, he's going to be one of the key trip leaders because he's a local in the area and knows the whole area inside out, back to front. Maybe a slight exaggeration. We are exploring. We don't know where we're going. I can't rate if it's easy, medium or hard. It's unknown. Most likely going to be medium, or either side of that, easy and difficult. I'm not planning on doing anything that I can't drive because I'm not into doing recoveries, winching and vehicle damage, although it's always possible that damage could occur. We're not full professionals. You know, we've got a disclaimer there that, you know, if you want to come on these trips, we've said in Prado Crew you need to press like and accept that as well. So check that out, Prado Crew disclaimer. We're not going to take any responsibility on your vehicle for your driving, your damage there. You want to make sure you have insurance to cover any of that damage if it comes out, because we are not. By coming on the trip, you accept that. Thanks for watching. Bada bing, bada boom. Hope I haven't forgotten anything. That's it for now. See you guys.